Good morning, dear students. Welcome to the English Canvas. Today, we are going to explore one of the most profound and philosophical poems by W.B. Yeats, Among School Children. So, this poem beautifully blends personal reflection, philosophical thought, and symbolic imagery as Yeats walks through a classroom and begins to question the deeper meaning of life, youth, aging, and identity. So, get ready for a rich and thoughtful journey as we decode this poem line by line, understand its central themes, and explore how Yeats weaves through together past, present, and the universal human experience. If you found this lecture helpful, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. So let's begin today's poetic exploration with open mind, literary curiosity. So let's dive into Among School Children. So this poem was written in 1926 after visiting a convent school in Waterford, Ireland. Yeats visited this school as a senator of the Irish Free State. He was around 60 years old at that time and was deeply reflective about aging, memory, love, and the meaning of life. So, this visit triggered a series of philosophical and personal thoughts, especially about his own youth and his idealized love for Morgan, whom he had admired and proposed to several times in his younger days. Seeing the innocent school children made him reflect on his own past, his lost love, and the way human life evolves from childhood to the old age. So the poem is deeply autobiographical and philosophical, combining personal nostalgia with universal questions about. Um, this poem describes it questions about the relationship between youth and old age, the role of philosophy, beauty, and art, the idea of identity, and whether the body, soul, or and the mind can ever truly be separated. So Yeats uses symbolism and classical references to meditate on how life transforms us and whether our youthful dreams and ideals truly survive the journey through time. So the final stanza, especially the famous for this one, the final stanza is especially famous for the image of dancing child. This is a metaphor for unity and harmony between body and the soul, right? So let's read the poem and understand the meaning line by line. I walked through the long schoolroom questioning. So the poet is who is now old visits a school and looks around, which reflects deeply. A kind old nun in a white hood replies. So there was a teacher, a nun. जो ये कॉन्वेंट स्कूल होते हैं यहाँ पर नन ही टीचर होती हैं. So there was a teacher, a nun, who answered his queries, possibly about the children or the school, right? The children learn to cipher and to sing. So the children are being taught arithmetic. This means arithmetic, maths basically, and to sing means music, right? To study reading books and history. So the children are being taught, uh, they also read, they are being taught to arithmetic and music, as well as they also read books and learn history. They also learn reading books and history. The basic this is the basics of formal education. To cut and sew we need in everything. So they are taught practical skills like stitching and the value of neatness. Cut and sew सीख रहे हैं वो, मतलब stitching सीख रहे हैं, और value of neatness सीख रहे हैं वो in the best modern way, the children's eye. So this kind of education is modern and progressive as well. So he focuses, yet focuses on the eyes of the children in momentary wonder stare upon. It means the children look at him with curiosity, perhaps puzzled by this old man's presence. तो यहाँ पर बच्चों ने भी मतलब बच्चों ने उसकी तरफ क्यूरियोसिटी से देखा. वो खुद पजल्ड थे कि इस स्कूल में इतना ओल्ड मैन ये कर क्या रहा है, ये तो टीचर भी नहीं है, स्टूडेंट तो हो ही नहीं सकते, तो ये क्या क्या रहे हैं, मतलब वो लोग खुद पजल्ड थे. A 60-year-old smiling public man. So Yeats refers to himself here as a smiling public man, a smiling public figure, because he was a senator. So senator basically एक ऐसा person होता है who works in the government. तो senators जो होते हैं वो वोट से elect होते हैं to represent them in state और federal senate, right? तो यहाँ पर जो ये येट्स हैं, ये W.B. येट्स ये एज अ सीनेटर स्कूल में गए हैं विजिट करने, राइट. नाउ द नेक्स्ट stanza इज आई ड्रीम ऑफ लिडियन बॉडी बेंट. इट मीन्स ही रिमेंबर्स मॉडगॉन. यहाँ पर ये मॉडगॉन को याद कर एंड कंपेयरिंग हर टू लीडा. लीडा फ्रॉम द ग्रीक मिथ, मदर ऑफ हेलन, जो हमने लेडा इन द स्वान में जो हमने पढ़ा था ना, लीडा कैरेक्टर, मदर ऑफ हेलन. तो वो यहाँ पर मॉडगॉन को कंपेयर कर रहे हैं लीडा से, राइट. अबव अ सिंकिंग फायर अ टेल दैट शी. सो ही इमेजिन्स हर एज एन ओल्ड वुमन लाइक अ फ्लिकरिंग फायर फेडिंग स्लो, told of a harsh reproof or a trivial event. So she now tells mundane or small stories, which is a contrast to her youthful grandeur, right? That changed some childish day to tragedy. So this is a small moment that once seemed tragic in childhood, now seems trivial. Told and it seemed that our two natures blend. So as she spoke, Yeats felt a deep emotional connection with her again into a sphere from a youthful sympathy. So their shared youthful experience and emotion blend into a complete emotional sphere, or else to alter Plato's parable. So Yeats alludes to Plato here. He suggests an alternative to his idea on love and the soul into the yolk and white of one shell. So he imagines himself and Morgon as inseparable as a yolk and white of an egg. Egg में रहता है ना, एक white part होता है, एक yellow part रहता है, yellow part yolk होता है, दूसरा white part होता है. तो he imagines himself and Morgon as inseparable as a yolk एंड वाइट ऑफ एन एग. जैसे एग का जो दो पार्ट होता है उनको सेपरेट करना काफ़ी मुश्किल होता है. अगर वो सेपरेट हो भी जाता है तो प्रॉपर तरीके से नहीं हो पाते, ये बस सच है. थोड़े येलोइश पार्ट के साथ वाइट पार्ट आ ही जाता है, तो काफ़ी मुश्किल काम है वाइट पार्ट. और ये जबकि ये जो पोएम लिखी तब तो बिल्कुल ही मुश्किल काम था, अब तो फिर भी थोड़ा सा पॉसिबल है करना, लेकिन पहले तो बिल्कुल भी मतलब इम्पॉसिबल चीज़ थी कि वाइट पार्ट को येलो पार्ट से इन सेपरेट करना, राइट. नाउ द थर्ड स्टेंजा, मतलब यहाँ पर ये इसको बता रहे हैं कि मैं और मतलब येट्स और मॉडगॉन बिल्कुल यूनाइटेड है, उन्हें सेपरेट करना बिल्कुल मुश्किल है. थर्ड स्टेंजा इज एंड थिंकिंग ऑफ दैट फिट ऑफ ग्रीफ एंड रेज. सो हियर ही थिंक्स ऑफ मॉडगॉन्स इमोशनल आउटबर्स्ट एंड एंगर. बहुत गुस्सा है और जो उसका आउटबर्स्ट था इमोशनल, उसके बारे में सोचते हैं वो. आई लुक अपॉन वन चाइल्ड or the other there. So he looks back at the children in the school and wonder if she stood so that at age. So he wonders if Morgan was once like one of these innocent children. मतलब वो innocent children में Morgan, she यानी कि Morgan को ही imagine कर रहे हैं, wonder कर रहे हैं. For even daughters of swan, the daughters of the swan can share. अब ये वही daughter of the swan मतलब लीडा's daughters जो उसको seduce किया था स्वान ने, मतलब जीएस ने इन द फॉर्म ऑफ स्वान. तो उसको उससे उसको बेटियां हुई थी ना, उसको बच्चे हुए थे, तो जो लीडास डॉटर्स हैं बेसिकली, यहाँ पे उनका रेफरेंस है फ्रॉम जीएस. सो इवन दोज born of myth like Leda's daughters or go through human childhood. something of every peddler's heritage. So all the children share a common, humble human experience, regardless of future greatness, and had the color upon cheek or hair. Maybe, एक second. So, Yeats is looking at a schoolgirl and imagining how she carries a trace of every child that ever lived. The girl embodies the history and the spirit of all humanity, including those who peddled or played in childhood. So he visualizes her Morgon with the physical features, perhaps the same rosy cheeks or the hair color of someone he once loved, most likely who Morgon, connecting the child to his memory and of youthful beauty. And thereupon my heart is driven wild. So this line shows his emotional response. Seeing the girl stirs deep passion, nostalgia, and confusion. So his heart becomes wild with a rush of memory, longing and philosophical thought, right? She stands before me as a living child. तो यहाँ पर ये मॉडगॉन को एक बच्चे में देख रहे हैं, एक लड़की में, छोटी बच्ची में देख रहे हैं. So he concludes that the girl is no longer just a school child but a living symbol of beauty, time, memory, and human potential. She becomes the link between past and present, and ideal and reality, right? Now the fourth stanza is, her present image floats into the mind. So Yeats is reflecting on the current appearance of the human he once loved, like Morgon. Her image, as she is now in old age, appears in his mind. Did Quattrocento finger fashion it? So he wonders if her beauty was shaped by a Renaissance ideal, specifically the Quattrocento. This is the 15th century Italian art. He imagines her as if an artist of that time sculpted or painted her, hollow of cheek as though it drank the wind. So this vivid metaphor describes the aging face, sunken cheeks, as if time and life have hollowed her appearance, giving the impression that she has consumed only wind. The wind symbolizes air and the emptiness, and took a mess of shadows for its meat. So he extended the metaphor. Instead of being nourished by food and joy, her life or beauty was perhaps sustained by shadows, pain, suffering, and fleeting illusions. And I thought never of Lydian king. So Yeats compares himself to mythical figures. Kind refers to the Helen of Troy और her siblings. So basically Lydian kind मतलब लीडा के जो बच्चे थे, basically लीडा के जो बच्चे थे मतलब Lydian kind, Helen and her siblings, born who are born of Leda and Zeus in the swan form. So he's saying, I may not be of divine and heroic origin, had pretty plumage once, enough of that. So but he was once attractive. मतलब जब ये pretty plumage में था, मतलब this was a period of youthful charm, right? ये उस टाइम की बात कर रहे हैं येट्स, जब वो खुद भी यूथ में थे, जब वो काफ़ी चार्मिंग दिखते थे. सो ही क्विकली स्टेप्स हिज दिस वेन रिफ्लेक्शन बाय सेइंग इनफ ऑफ दैट. इट मीन्स मूविंग अवे फ्रॉम द नॉस्टैल्जिया. मतलब वो अब उस नॉस्टैल्जिया से, मतलब वो अपने आप को सोच रहे थे कि जब मैं भी बड़ा सुंदर दिखता था, यूथफुल दिखता था, चार्मिंग दिखता था, फिर एकदम से इनफ ऑफ दैट बोलकर वो उस नॉस्टैल्जिया से एकदम बाहर आ जाते हैं. Better to smile on that smile and show. So instead of clinging to lost youth and beauty, he suggests it's wiser to smile at those who are happy now, the children, especially the children in front of him, and embrace the present. There's a comfortable kind of old scarecrow. So here Yeats compares himself टू एन ओल्ड स्केयर क्रो. मतलब खुद को ये कंपेयर कर रहे हैं एक ओल्ड स्केयर क्रो से, दैट इज़ वॉर्न एंड टैटर्ड, नो लॉन्गर ब्यूटिफुल और यूजफुल इन अ कन्वेंशनल सेंस, बट ऑडली comforting in its honesty, wisdom, and endurance, right? Now the next stanza is, What youthful mother a shape upon her lap? So Yeats imagines a young mother holding her infant child in her lap. Honey of generation had betrayed. So the phrase honey of generation refers to the sweetness of youth and sexual love which leads to childbirth. And the word betrayed suggests that this sweet experience has led to path to pain or consequence. Here, the painful realities of motherhood, and that must sleep, shriek, struggle to escape. So the child will go through life's inevitable stages: rest, cry, struggling, symbolizing the difficult path of human existence, as recollection or the drug decide. So this line contrasts memory, recollection, memory, and drug medicine. So it suggests that human experience is shaped either by how we remember things or by how we numb them, right? Would think her son did she but see the shape. So Yeats wonders if the mother seeing her child as an old man in like 60s or more winters would feel that, मतलब ये अपनी बात कर रहा है कि अब जो पहले उसने बोला कि छोटा जो बच्चा है उसको कैरी की वो एक मदर है, नाउ ही वॉन्डर्स कि अगर वो मदर अपने उसी बच्चे को एज एन ओल्ड मैन देखे तो वो क्या फील करेगी विद 60 और मोर विंटर्स ऑन इट्स head. So that is after the child has aged into an old man, 60 or more years old, a compensation of the span of this word. So whether all the struggles, the pains and sacrifices of a motherhood were truly worth it when the child has become just an aged body, right? Or the uncertainty of his setting forth, or whether it was worth all pain when the future of that child, his life path, is so uncertain. So, this stanza reflects on motherhood, aging, and the philosophical questions of whether the sacrifice of parenting are truly justified by the outcomes. It's a meditation on how idealized love, beauty, and creation confront the inevitable decay and uncertainty of human life. Now, the next stanza is: Plato thought nature but a spume that plays upon a ghostly paradigm of things. So, Yeats refers to Plato's theory of forms. Plato's theory of forms. According to Plato, the material world is just pale, imperfect reflection of spume. Spume means form or form or froth of ideal external forms that exist in a higher reality. Yet is skeptical here. He calls nature just a froth comes that plays upon a ghostly idea. So indicating the both admiration and doubt. Solid Aristotle played solid Aristotle played the toss upon the bottom of a king of kings. So Aristotle more practical and solid than who? Solid than Plato. Plato was a tutor to Alexander the Great. मतलब किंग्स ऑफ किंग्स की बात हो रही है ना यहाँ पर, तो यहाँ पर अलेक्जेंडर द ग्रेट का रेफरेंस है ये. Plato, who was Aristotle, more practical and solid than Plato, was a tutor to Alexander the Great, the kings of king. Played the toss. Played the toss means he used to leather strap used in school punishment, symbolizing discipline or firm instruction. This reflects Aristotle's more empirical and grounded approach to knowledge and education. World famous golden thighed Pythagoras um, fingered upon a fiddlestick or strings what a star sang and careless mused herds. यहाँ पे बहुत सारे फेमस ग्रेट लोगों की बात हो रही है इस पूरे स्टेंजा में देखा जाए तो. सो येट्स इवोक्स पाइथागोरस. अगर आप मैथ्स थोड़ा बहुत पढ़ा है तो आपने पाइथागोरस थियरम पढ़ा होगा, तो ये वही पाइथागोरस है. ही वॉज अ मिस्टिकल फिलोसोफर एंड मैथमेटिशियन who believed in the musing of the spheres and the idea of celestial bodies create a kind of harmony of music. Golden thighed elevates him to a semi divine level. The muses, the goddesses of the muses, who are actually the goddesses of inspiration, are called careless. मतलब ये muses को careless बोल रहे हैं, careless muse there. right? So because why they are called careless, because they don't fully realize or appreciate the depth of the harmony being played. Old clothes upon old sticks to scare a bird. So this stanza ends in sharp irony. After invoking these great philosophers like Plato, Aristotle, Pythagoras, so after invoking these great philosophers, yet dismisses their lofty ideas by comparing them and perhaps himself to old scarecrows कि अब हम जो सभी हैं, मतलब प्लेटो, एरिस्टोटल, पाइथागोरस, इवन येट्स, ये लोग क्या हैं, स्केयर क्रो, मतलब पूरा स्केयर क्रो से कंपेयर कर दिया, जो कि वर्थलेस है, worn आउट एंड barely यूजफुल. सो दिस एंडिंग undercuts all grandeur with self deprecating humor and philosophical doubt. Now the next stanza is: both nuns and mothers worship images, but those the candles light are not as those. So, nuns and mothers both engaged in acts of reverence, nuns in religious worship, and mothers in imagining their children's future or ideal forms. But the religious icon lit their candles in churches are different from the imagined images held loving in a mother's mind that animate a mother's reveries. So a mother's dream and thoughts are filled with living, emotional images, her child's future, well-being and memories, not static and sacred one, but keep a marble or a bronze repose. So religious statues or images remain fixed in cold, timeless materials like marble or bronze, and they don't change, age, and move. And yet they too break hearts or presences. So, yet even these lifeless religious figures can move people deeply and break hearts with their powerful presence that passion, pity, or affection knows. So, these presence, both religious and maternal visions, represent deep human emotions like love, devotion, and tender care, and that all heavenly glory symbolize. So they symbolize divine beauty or ideal forms, something beyond ordinary human experience. O self born mockers of men's enterprise. But ironically, they idealize forms, mock human efforts. They are unattainable, eternal, and indifferent to human striving. Now, the last stanza of the poem is: labor is blossoming or dancing where. So, true work or effort feels like art or joy, like blossoming flowers or dancing, when done naturally and harmoniously. The body is not bruised or pleasures to pleasure soul. So when the body is not sacrificed or tortured just to elevate the soul, Yeats rejects the old idea of suffering as the only path to spiritual wisdom, nor beauty born out of its own despair. So real beauty doesn't have to emerge from pain or sorrow. It can be joyful and the whole, nor blear eyed wisdom out of midnight's oil. So, wisdom does not only come from long or exhausting study. Midnight oil का मतलब है रात भर पढ़ना. तो जो लॉन्ग और एग्जॉस्टिंग स्टडी होती है उसका रेफरेंस है. वो कह रहे हैं कि पढ़ा विजडम जो होती है ना, वो इतनी बड़ी बड़ी पढ़ाई, लंबी लंबी रात भर पढ़ाई करने से नहीं आती है. इट कैन अराइज फ्रॉम विविड एक्सपीरियंस. मतलब विजडम जो होती है वो एक्सपीरियंस से आती है, नॉट जस्ट tired efforts. O chestnut tree, a chestnut tree greeted rooted blossomer. So yet addresses the chestnut tree, a symbol of nature and flourishing life, deeply rooted yet blooming, a metaphor for balance and completeness. Are you the leaf, the blossom, or the bowl? So he wonders what truly defines the tree: the leaf, which symbolizes appearance, or the flower that symbolizes the expression, or the trunk, which symbolizes the uh, strength. Blossom हो गया flower, flower, right? बोल हो गया trunk, और leaf तो यहाँ लिखा ही appearance है. So this reflects a deeper question of what truly defines a person. Oh, body swayed to music, oh, brightening glance. So referring to a dancer in motion body and glands alive, responding to music and full of expression and soul. How can we know the dancer from the dance? So this is the question. So one of Yeats most famous line, ये बहुत ही famous line है Yeats की, तो आप इसको अपनी आंसर राइटिंग में भी यूज कर सकते हो. He is asking, can we separate the creator from creation? मतलब हम क्या डांसर को डांस से अलग कर सकते हैं, मतलब क्रिएशन को क्रिएटर से अलग कर सकते हैं. द पर्सन फ्रॉम देयर एक्शन, द सोल फ्रॉम द बॉडी, मतलब क्या इंसान को उसके एक्शन से अलग कर सकते हैं, बॉडी को उसकी सोल से, सोल को उसकी बॉडी से अलग कर सकते हैं? नो, everything's interconnected, right? So this is all about the poem. W.B. Yeats wrote among the school children after visiting a convent school as a senator. As he observes the children and reflect on his own old age, he begins a deep philosophical journey into memory, identity, love, and the purpose of life. So the poem begins with Yeats walking through a classroom, watching young children who are full of potential and innocence. As he looks at them, his mind drifts back to his lost love, Maud gone, imagining how she must have looked as a child. This leads him to the question about nature of beauty, love, and the passion of time. He compares childhood, youth, and adulthood, wondering how the different stages of life relate to one another. He reflects on how we separate the body from the soul, wisdom from the experience, but in truth, they are inseparable. In the final stanza, he uses the powerful metaphor of a chestnut tree to ask whether we are just a part of life, a leaf or a flower, or whole, the bowl or the trunk. He ends with famous philosophical question here, that is, how can we know the dancer from the dance? So it suggests that life and the personal living it are one and the same. So W.B. Yeats, this poem invites us to think beyond appearance, beyond age, beauty, and the roles in society. It challenges us to reflect on how time, memory, and love shapes us, how wisdom lies not just in books or old age, but in understanding the unity of life. So it's not merely a poem about a school visit, it's a meditation on the meaning of life, right? So in our next class, we will explore another brilliant poem by W.B. Yeats, where once again poetry becomes a window to deep philosophical thought, rich imagery, and timeless emotion. Then don't miss it. Thank you.